recording a session just for anyone that's unable to join, but also just if you'd like to watch it back to get some of the key messages or a bit of a refresher, then you've got that opportunity available to you. So just to run through some housekeeping very quickly, as I mentioned, we'll be recording the session. Please also just stay on mute just so that there's no echoes, and take yourself off mute when you'd like to ask a question. You can raise your hand or kind of wave at me, or if you'd like to respond to a question that's been asked as well. And again, happy for you to be on camera or off camera. And also, just as we go through this, just please respect other people's opinions, particularly where we kind of different opinions with some of the questions that are being asked. So we've all done introductions, that's great. So okay, I just want to run through some key things to do before your event. So you're all running kind of a winter wellness activity or event taking place from now to the end of February. I know some of the dates that you've given us may have been kind of end of November or early December. Hilary has been in touch to get some new dates from you for your rescheduled activity or a rerun of the activity that you may have already run. So if you haven't shared that with Hilary, please do share that with Hilary. We're really keen to just capture when all of the activities are taking place, that we can try and attend some of them. And it's also great to have that for our record as well. So there is 4 key things for you to do ahead of your activity. So firstly is watch our latest webinar. This is where we've got a range of clinicians talking through some of the key messages that we'd like you to share through the winter periods. That's around vaccinations, it's around mental health, community pharmacy, and there's some information about the NHS app as well. And towards the end of this slide deck, you'll see some of those key messages as well. You can refer back to as and when you'd like to. Again, it's just reviewing your local materials so that you know where you can signpost people to. You will have a range of printed materials that have been sent to the addresses within your application. They are arriving hopefully by the end of the week. Some of them due to kind of the Christmas period and later deliveries might be early next week. But again, if there's any trouble with deliveries or kind of receiving the materials, do let Hilary know, and we can pick that up with the printing company just to make sure you get them on time. Included within this deck is also the digital materials. There are a range of digital materials available to you. We are also working on some translated materials, so they will be appearing in the Google Drive that's linked within this information pack, as well as easy read versions are also available to you. If there's anything that's not there that you would like, please let Hilary know, and we can look at whether there's an opportunity to get that ahead of your activity, noting that some of them are happening this weekend or kind of early next week as well. We've also linked some of our toolkits, which include social media images, which include kind of a different suggested copy that you can share across your channel. So really encouraging you to use some of those messages across your social media channels as well, Facebook groups that you're a part in, just to really champion the winter messaging and sharing it widely across our channels. It's really important for us to capture an evaluation of the activity. So linked, and I'll cover this a little bit more later, but it's really important just to have a little look at the evaluation insight form ahead of your session, just so you're aware of the information that we're trying to capture. It's things like attendee numbers, demographics, but also the insight that people are telling you, what you're hearing, some of the key themes that are appearing. Fourthly, it's just some helpful information on confident conversations, which Kate's going to run through in a little bit, and also some information around the 3 A's, which will help you support some of those, kind of support yourselves to have confident conversations. We've also included information on safeguarding and taking and consent. So when you take photographs and videos, which are a condition of the grant, you'll just need to make sure that anyone appearing in those videos or pictures you have consent for. We've linked that consent form there, and we'll run through that a little bit later. And again, if there's anything missing or anything that you need that you don't have, please let Hilary know, and we can work to get that for you. So I ran through the webinar, so we've linked here the latest webinar, and as I've mentioned, it covers winter vaccination. So boost the COVID-19 seasonal vaccine, but also the flu vaccine, community pharmacy, how and when you can access your community pharmacy for support, mental health, where you can signpost people to for mental health support. There's the crisis line numbers within the information pack as well. Some information on Healthier Together, which is a website for parents to support and them to get the right and accurate information for care around their children. It's a really comprehensive website that you can access. And finally, some information around the NHS app, how you can download it and kind of what you can use the NHS app for. So this is where the digital leaflets are linked. This just gives you a quick idea of the leaflets that are within this deck. Again, there's one for vaccinations that is local to your borough, and there's one for pharmacy and mental health and NHS app as well. As I've mentioned, easy read versions and translations will be available to you as well. You can have a little look at the digital leaflets. You can download them, use them through any of your channels, but again, printed materials will be arriving to you very soon. Any issues with that, please do let us know and we can track that for you. So this is this details our communication toolkit. So within each of our campaigns, the toolkit button will send you to the latest toolkit. So social media images, you can use them across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X as it's now known. And there's various suggested copy and newsletter copy for some of the different campaigns as well. So it'd be really great if you could start using this across your channels, but you might want to share it widely with people that are due to attend your event as well. You can also use it through WhatsApp and things. The images are very versatile. So evaluating your event, as I mentioned, it's key for us to hear what people and communities are telling us about local health, about their local health and care services, but also kind of wider feedback. So we want to know kind of concerns, issues, any direct feedback that they've been giving you. We want to know kind of how many people are attending the event, the demographics, the rough demographics of people that are attending the event. And it's a condition of the grant to share 2 quotes from people attending your event. So either how they found the activity or event, or something that they plan to do following your activity or event. For example, last year we had some people saying, I'll now actively go and get a vaccination, go and get a seasonal COVID-19 vaccination, or I'll now use my pharmacy services more frequently. We'd also need 2 photographs of your activity or event, and please remember consent's a really important part of that. And then, as I've mentioned, it includes a summary of the activity, attendee numbers and demographics, and there's a link to the evaluation form within this slide as well. So if you have any trouble accessing that, please do reach out to us and we will fix that as soon as possible. If you could complete the evaluation form after your event, that would be fantastic. If you are running a number of events, we know some of them are weekly, then you can either complete one per event or you can complete it as a summary, whichever is most convenient for you, as long as you're capturing all the information from all of the sessions that you run. And handing over to Kate.
Brilliant, thanks, Salmon. Great to see such a wide and kind of varied organisations on the call today. So I'm not going to spend very long on this, but essentially, I suppose, because this grant's all about, you know, helping people to understand what local services and support's available, we thought it might be a good idea just to give a very brief kind of outline of kind of how to have confident conversations. So there's some key pointers there that I'm sure everyone is very fully aware of. But if, I mean, you could just go to the next slide. I'm going to talk to it through a kind of model that Making Every Count often use, and some of you might be very familiar with this, so apologies if you are. But essentially, kind of what we say when we're trying to help people kind of know what services are available or providing information, we use this model called the 3 A's, which is all around ask, assist, and act. And the whole idea is to have that conversation in a very kind of having it in a very open, dialogued way, allowing people to speak kind of how they feel about things, you know, and whether they what was I going to say? So how kind of what they kind of feel about particular things. So I was going to take this through kind of example, and a very simple one that I'm sure we've all had conversations with our communities about is obviously having the vaccine. So when we are having conversations about vaccine, there often is like, you know, preconceived ideas, or people might feel a particular way, or they might know somebody that has had a really adverse reaction to the vaccine. And I suppose this kind of ask is really that first stage of exploring that with somebody in your conversation. So really kind of building that rapport with people, trying to feel kind of where they're at with kind of how they feel towards the vaccine in this example, and kind of assessing, I suppose, in that first step, how you might be able to help and how you might be able to provide information and support around that. So the second stage of this model is all about that assist bit. So we've had that conversation with someone about the vaccine, and they're really worried about having, you know, severe reaction or kind of the side effects around that. So it's all around kind of understanding where that person is, and then offering that information and kind of advice, and really providing that very factually and kind of making it personalised and tailored to them. So if they're concerned about symptoms, giving that kind of information around what we know, what the facts say around those symptoms, and what support and where you can find out more information. And then the final part of that model is the ACT. So where do you signpost somebody to? Can you give them a leaflet? Can you give them a telephone number? Can you say, oh, you know, your pharmacy can help with that, and there's one around the corner, you know, do you know where this one is that maybe provides that kind of service and support, and really encouraging that person to sort of take those next steps. And in this example, you know, to go and have that vaccine, or to potentially talk to one of their family members that's concerned about it. So this model of kind of when you're talking to people is really trying to understand where the person's at and how they're feeling, and kind of any opinions, providing that factual information and being really factual without opinion. So it's just really letting people open up. And then the key bit is giving people the tools and the information to be able to kind of act on that if they so wish to. Next slide. And then this is quite helpful, I always think, things to think about when you're having these conversations, which can be challenging and they can be tricky conversations, is to just really kind of think about some key things that might happen along your conversation. And so if I go through them one by one, but obviously we know it's about listening. We're all human. It's about that interaction, building rapport with somebody, having a conversation, you know, making sure that you are listening, actively listening in that conversation, and not sort of jumping ahead to a conclusion before the person stopped speaking or has kind of arrived at that themselves. It's not about persuasion. So this isn't about persuading people, potentially in the example I gave about having the vaccine. It's about providing the information and support for that person to make that choice. So it's really about championing kind of the facts, what the evidence says, or what you know is factually correct around what sort of services or clinics are available. But it's not about persuading somebody to change their mind. It's just about giving them that information. We all know if you want to have a conversation with someone, kind of yes, no answers is not the way to go, is it? It's really around kind of building that dialogue and having a conversation and talking about their experiences or their friends' experiences or whatever's worrying them in the kind of health conversation that you're having. And kind of just not undermining any conversation, which I'm sure, you know, no one intends to do, but, you know, just allowing people to have their opinions and not kind of finishing anyone's sentence off and assuming what they're about to say. And really kind of not giving people too much information. You know, the ONS said this, the census data said this, not giving all of those kind of facts and figures in that way, but really kind of just giving enough information, but not that kind of lecture of you kind of, well, this is XYZ, A, B, C, D, E. It's kind of just picking out the key bits to really support people to get them to have the right information, but without kind of doing that lecture. And, you know, and really just not being judgmental or dismissing what people said, you know, not having kind of preconceived ideas about particular groups, stereotyping, really understanding the diversity of people, cultural kind of consideration, that many of the people that we talk to, often English won't be their first language, so really kind of supporting people to be able to get their points across and to really kind of understand some of that stuff. So this is kind of two-pronged, I'd say. So this is all around signposting people and getting people to the right information and support as per the kind of the grant fund, but also that bit to help you with the evaluation. It's really about picking out some of that insight and then feeding that back to Ammon and team through the evaluation process, because we really want to understand what people are thinking about local health and care services or anything else. We know that, you know, the cost of living, lots of people using food banks, you know, the wider determinants of health, as it's coined, is really important. And we really want to hear that too. So anything that you kind of feel is, you know, real issues or barriers, or people are really just struggling out there on particular health and care kind of ish services, but also kind of their home life, their family life, whatever that might be, please do jot it down and feed it back to us, because we really want to build on that and to sort of, you know, see what we can support with, and what we can, you know, get that to the right people to sort of help local people in South West London. Thanks, Ammon.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. So just jump in with some helpful information that you can use if and when you do need it. So we've included here some numbers specifically for our council safeguarding teams. So these numbers are all based in our kind of local authority councils, and there is a number for adult safeguarding and the children's safeguarding leads. So if you do need any support, if you need to share if there's a risk to an adult or a risk to a child, then you can call one of these phone numbers and they'll be able to share with you the next steps and provide you with the necessary support that you need to action this. And you can also flag it with the team as well, just to let them know that you're taking these steps. If it is an emergency, then please call 999. These numbers are just if you need support, if you need to share that you are aware of someone else needing to support either an adult or a child. So this slide's all around kind of consent for photography and for filming. So it's really important when you take the 2 photographs or more of the activity or event and a film or a short clip, then we take consent for anyone that's appearing in the footage. Without the consent, then we're unable to use that footage or to use the pictures. We're really keen for this to be a part of the evaluation. So we're really keen to share and showcase some of the work that you're doing kind of February onwards, just to showcase the activities that took place as a part of the Winter Engagement Fund. So we're really keen to see the pictures, we're really keen to see the films, but please do share the consent with us, and we need an email address as well for the person who you've consented, just that if there's any need to follow up with them after, we're able to do that. All this information can be recorded in the form, and if you click see the consent form here, it will take you through to that consent form. Any issues, please do let us know. You can either do that digitally and email it back, or you could print it and then kind of complete it on the day and then upload that later. But it's really important to make sure that you are using consent and taking consent when you're using it across social media channels as well. So I'm just going to quickly run through some key messages, and I won't spend too long on these slides because the winter webinar is kind of really key for you to watch back. That's where our clinicians are talking through the key messages, but I'll just quickly go through the different campaigns that we're running and some of the key points that it's helpful to mention. So in terms of winter vaccines, this is our COVID-19 seasonal vaccine and our flu vaccine. So what I want to flag here is it's really important to share eligibility around both of these vaccines. Not everyone is eligible for them. There has been some confusion around eligibility. The next 2 slides in this deck do go into detail around COVID-19 eligibility and flu eligibility. So there is some information there you can use for signposting. What's really important to note here, the last date to get an autumn-winter COVID-19 seasonal vaccine is the 31st of January. So you might have seen the messages recently that the national booking system has closed, and that's because you can't book via the national booking system anymore, but people can walk in to get a vaccine if they're eligible. Our walk-in page, which is also linked in this slide deck, will be listing out by the end of today all of the locations that people can walk into to get vaccinated ahead of the 31st of January. That will include some community pharmacies. There's 2 primary care locations in that list, so two GP settings, and also there is a number of community clinics as well, for example libraries in and around the borough where people can walk in to get vaccinated. So please do signpost people to the walk-in page. They can't book a vaccine anymore, but they can get an autumn winter COVID-19 seasonal vaccine. For flu, again, as I said, the national booking system's closed, so they can't book for flu as well, but you can get a flu vaccination ahead of the 31st of March. So they can either contact their GP to get vaccinated, or they can find a pharmacy which is linked as well. There are some pharmacies that are providing a flu vaccine. Some of the walk-in locations for COVID-19 will also be providing flu, so there is an opportunity there for people to get both. But again, it's just double checking the walk-in page to see what vaccine you can get at each walk-in location. It does differ. We've linked here the NHS.UK winter vaccinations webpage, which does list out all of the eligibility. It lists out key information around not being able to book anymore, and that walk-in is the option for people that do wish to get vaccinated. And again, we're trying to encourage people to get vaccinated ahead of these dates. So 31st of January for COVID-19 and 31st of March for flu vaccinations. And just to note, if any of your events or activities are running past the 31st of January, so where the offer to get a seasonal vaccine is no longer there, it's still really important for us to gather insights that we can then inform the next phase of the programme, which could be the spring vaccination programme. We are waiting to hear more information about what that programme might hold, whether it's going ahead. So any insight you can share with us will be kind of critical to us to be able to inform future vaccination programmes. So please do share that insight with us. And that's particularly around kind of question 15 of the evaluation form. You can look through the evaluation form at your own leisure, but do let us know if there's any issues with kind of collecting any information. So as I've mentioned, this slide just details eligibility for flu, and you can kind of read through this in your own time. This slide, we also want to use this as an opportunity where some of your events are reaching parents, then prompting parents that children aged 2 to 3 years old are eligible for a flu vaccination. Some other children may also be eligible, for example, reception to year 11 and children with certain health conditions as well. But it's just reminding parents that children are also eligible, sharing that eligibility information with them, but also using it as an opportunity to remind parents to check that their children are also up to date with other routine immunisations, for example, the 6-in-1 booster or the MMR vaccine and kind of polio vaccinations as well. So just reminding parents to check children are up to date with all of their vaccinations, and that flu is an opportunity for them to be getting vaccinated against as well. We've also included here some information, particularly around the MMR vaccine. So it's given as 2 doses, and parents can either visit their GP to get vaccinated, or they will be contacted by the school-aged immunisation service if their child is 4 to 11 years old. So again, it's just being mindful about the age differences here, 1 to 4 and 4 to 11. You're signposting parents either to a GP or waiting to be contacted by the school-aged immunisation team. We've also included here some helpful information around local community pharmacies. And again, it's just reminding people about the different support they can get from a community pharmacy. So they can kind of get quick health advice, they can get clinical care, they can ask advice about health conditions as well. So it's just reminding people about the extended opening hours, for example, and where there's a walk-in service too. There's lots of different services that you can access at your local pharmacy. So it's just signposting people to their local pharmacy, reminding them they can find their local pharmacy via the link, and then signposting to the leaflet as well, which has got more information there. For local mental health services, we've included here 2 crisis lines. So what's to note here is there's a separate line if people live within Wandsworth Merton, Sutton, Kingston or Richmond, and there's a separate crisis line for Croydon as well. So that's just something to note when you are speaking to people. I know there may be some people attending your event that aren't from the borough where your activity is based, so just to be mindful, you might be signposting them into a different crisis line or to different kind of mental health services. That the leaflets that you have will be sent to you based on which borough your activity is taking place, but you can refer back to the slides if you, for example, are based in Croydon, but you've got someone from Wandsworth attending your event or someone from Merton attending your event. Refer back to the slides and you'll have that information to be able to signpost them correctly. And I think this is the final slide around the NHS app. The NHS app is available for download, and you can do lots on the NHS app. For example, you can access your NHS number quite quickly, you can book appointments, you can view your health record. We've got 2 leaflets, one that shares everything you can access the NHS app for, but then another to break down how to download the NHS app, how to then link your NHS app with your health records. So there is a couple of leaflets that you can access depending on what support people need. And we've included some links here around getting further support as well, getting started, for example, with the NHS app. This campaign is really about signposting people to download the app. We're keen to see if anyone downloads the app during a session, or if anyone kind of wants support in terms of, oh, can you tell me how I can look at my GP number, sorry, my NHS number, or kind of, can you tell me what I can use the app for? So we're keen to hear about downloads or kind of how many people want to discuss what the NHS app is available for. Oh, this is the last slide, I think. So cold weather, we've included, as it's kind of getting colder now, as the temperature's dropping, we have included some kind of key messages around cold weather, how you can signpost people to warm spaces in each of your boroughs as well. So this is really the slide to signpost people to if people, for example, are looking for somewhere to stay safe and warm throughout winter, or have concerns around kind of the cost of living crisis and want simple energy advice as well. So there's some helpful links within this slide. Again, some more helpful links here. We've covered a lot of these, but it's just a helpful kind of a quick look at the different support that people can get from the NHS and wider, and some support people can get from different community organisations as well.